that. Um, okay, so what we're going to talk about, we're going to start out, we're going to talk about, I really, as long as you're open to it, I want to talk about your story. Like, hey, you're left for dead. I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about the recovery. You mentioned it was the hardest part, one of the hardest things you ever had to do, and how that kind of defined you to some degree. So I want to get into that as long as you're okay with that. Um, and then want to lead into what are some, how do you lead a team? Like, what's your leadership style? So I want to talk about that a little bit. How do you've built Rhino, I think you said for 10 years, you've seen it grow dramatically. Kind of want to talk about how you approach leadership. Like, how do you build your team? What
Yeah,
type of people are you generally working with that you enjoy working with that you
totally.
think are good profiles? So then from there, I want to get into more of what's going to help the typical home service business. So I want to talk about you got a company that's in like that $1 to $10 million range. What are some common marketing mistakes that you see, particularly in HVAC, plumbing, things like that? What do
Yeah,
you see that they make that's preventing them from scaling?
totally.
You've worked with over 1,000 contractors. What do you see when we're talking like a $2 million business, a $5 million, and $8 million business? What do you see the common like things that make them stall? Like, are there something in those thresholds that you see that they have trouble getting over those hurdles? I'd be curious your input. Um, I want to talk about three-part strategy: rank, engage, convert. If we talk about that kind of in plain English, so to speak. Um, I have a hypothetical. Let's say I'm running a $4 million HVAC company and I feel stuck. I've got techs to keep busy, leads are slowing, and I've never used a marketing agency. Where should I start?
Say that one more time. You broke
Sure.
up.
Let's say I'm running a $4 million HVAC. This is hypothetical. I'm running a $4 million HVAC company and I feel stuck. I've got techs that I want to keep busy. Leads are slowing down and I've never used a marketing agency. Where should I start? Like, what should I be thinking about? So basically,
Oh,
I'm just asking
yeah,
you, like,
easy.
I'm kind of dressing it up a little bit, but just like,
There
what's
you
it
go.
like to work with an? What should you be asking the agency? We both seem companies below 10K a month or more on marketing with nothing to show for it. What questions should owners ask before hiring a CMO? So I'm kind of switching gears a little bit over to the CMO. So I kind
Mhm.
of want to know that. Um, and then I have like three questions around tools. You're big on call tracking and lead quality. Can you share a story where a company thought marketing was the problem, but it turned out to be their own team? So the
Mhm.
team was really the issue. Um, what's a small tweak you've seen unlock major results like 10xing leads or lowering cost per lead? Even if it sounds too simple to work, I'd love to know, is there something that's just a small tweak that could give big results? And then if you lost everything and had to rebuild a $2 million service business from scratch, marketing wise, what would you do in the first 90 days?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's
Are
all.
those all okay? Okay. And then I always loved, so this is how the show will go. I'll introduce you to the show. I'll ask you what you do professionally, ask you a personal tidbit about yourself, anything that you want to share. Even if it's your religion, you mentioned about going to church. I think that's awesome. If you're,
I'm
whatever
an
you want to share.
open book, man.
Yeah.
Literally open
Yeah.
book. There's nothing
What,
I won't talk about.
whatever
Never
you're
lie,
comfortable.
no
And then I
problem.
like to end the show with one tip. I'd love for you to summarize one thing. It could be something you already said. I'll say, hey man, could you give us one marketing tip? Might be something we've already talked about, but just summarize one thing that we should be doing today.
Yeah. Easy,
Okay. Is that all good?
easy stuff.
Okay, awesome. Here we go. And do you go by Michael, not Mike, right?
Mike's fine, man.
Okay. And then do me one favor, just to have it on recording. Pronounce your last name for me.
Venitas.
Venitas. Okay, that's easy. I
Yeah.
always, when I do the opener and closer, I mention your first and last name, and it just helps me a little bit.
Yeah. It's all good. Everybody always gets it wrong, and I just let them. I never call it out.
I'm gonna impress you. Okay,
Appreciate
here
it.
we go. Hey, Mike, welcome to the Profit and Grit Show. How you doing today?
Tyler, I could never be better, man. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Nah, thanks for being here, man. Hey, I'd love to start out, love to learn a little bit about you. What you do professionally would be the first thing. What is that?
Well, I'm the CXO of a digital marketing agency that has existed since 2008. It's called Rhino Strategic Solutions, and it's existed solely for the home services, man. It's all we've done. It's solely built just for contractors.
That's awesome. And I think you mentioned to me when we had our first conversation, like you've personally worked with over 1,000 service businesses. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I mean we're well past 1,000 now. If you count everything over the years, it's probably even more than that.
That's crazy. That's a lot of knowledge and expertise you have in your head.
Totally. I mean, it's one of my favorite things about being in an agency. Agencies like prioritization because you're representing so many contractors throughout the country. It's an art within itself, but the amount of people you get to meet and the respect that you get, like just working with so many entrepreneurs and hearing their stories and how passionate they are and the lives that they change. Like it's a very fulfilling job, feels meaningful. So it's not hard to get passionate, man. Like it feels meaningful and it's a great way to live life.
That's so cool. Hey, so how about on a personal level? I'd love to know anything about you personally that you're open to sharing, maybe even something people don't commonly know.
Something people don't commonly know. No kids, and I have a purebred Australian Shepherd named Halo that I like completely am obsessed with. She's like my little baby.
How
What
old
about
is
my
she?
parents?
How old is she?
She's gonna be 7 this year.
Oh, wow. Okay, so she's
Yeah.
she's got a couple years on her.
Yeah.
And then Halo, how'd you get the name Halo? I love that name.
I can't remember. Like it popped up somewhere, and I just
Just it
just it
clicked.
just felt right. Like she's just a sweet dog. But
That's
an even
awesome.
better fact, man, is like a lot of people don't know that my wife, Jacqueline, is our VP of digital marketing at Rhino. I mean, she's such an operator. She hides behind the scenes, and people don't realize that, we've been together about 12 years, and she's been a Rhino for 7 of those years. So she got a very similar story in how she wound up at the company, started as like a contractor, and now she runs like all of our services and products. And she just kind of hides behind the scene, and she's a doer, man.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Did she end up getting at Rhino because of you in some way? Did she apply for the job because you knew about it, or how'd that work out?
Well, I mean, when I started 13 years ago, it's a job, and we had like this particular role where we would listen to phone calls just to make sure that we were taking credit for the right leads. Like our reporting, it was a big thing for us.
Yeah.
We really wanted to make sure that contractors truly knew what was and wasn't a lead. It was about transparency and being ethical, but like we would need people that we could train to listen to the calls so they knew what they were listening for because we felt like robots and calls that were past 30 seconds. Like that wasn't an accurate reflection of true lead generation. So at the time she was going to school for dental and it was just a way to make some side money. Like we had a basic $10 an hour thing and she's a hustler, man. So she would do that on the side because she knew it was an option and here we are.
That is so impressive. Wow. Okay, I want to get into your story. You got an awesome story. The way I want to kind of break this out, uh, very heartfelt story, I should say, and in addition to awesome because you overcame it. I want to talk about your personal story. And then I want to get a little bit into marketing and I want to learn from you, tap into those years of wisdom in terms of strategy and some things that we can help businesses do better, home services businesses do better. So, with your story, where I want to start is you had a very pivotal moment in your 20s. You were shot and literally left for dead. I think you were, how many times were you shot?
Twice,
Once?
yeah.
Twice? Yeah,
Twice.
twice.
At the
You're
same
shot
time.
twice.
That's always the joke that I make. It's funny. People look at me and they go, man, this guy probably deserved it because I'm tattooed from neck down. It's one big one. And I'm like, no, guys, it was just an unfortunate event. I was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, you tell us the story if you don't mind, share it, and then I want to kind of segue into what that happened after you were left there.
Yeah, man. I was just at an art walk in downtown Phoenix, and the wild thing is it was like the first time I'd ever been to an art walk. Like I'm 25, and I just, they called it First Friday, and I was just with a couple friends doing hanging out, having a good time, like rolling around, walk up and down the street, watch the vendors, eat the food, all the things, and when the night came to an end, we were separated and we just came across a group and, things just went sideways and we ended up getting targeted. It was an attempted robbery, that had occurred. They found me walking back to the car through the park and yeah, just went sideways, man. And, I don't think it would have been as traumatic, like if I wasn't left there, throughout the night
Yeah,
because that's what really caused the need for some emergency surgeries like right away. And honestly, the fact that it was an emergency, I almost think that they did more harm. Well, I shouldn't say harm. The recovery process was more difficult because of the actual
sure.
operation that needed to be done versus the gunshot. Which I am it's such a blessing, man, because the things that you learn throughout having to spend such a long time, like in the lowest of your low, I think that really teed me up for success. Like as I started to rebuild my life and, start this new journey in my marketing career.
Wow. So how did you ultimately get found? Because it sounds like nobody was crossing over you was it overnight until they found you?
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I mean, I was there for hours. Like at this point, it was back in oh man, 2012. So it's hard to remember the details without reading the police report, but I was
Sure.
there for quite some time. And what makes the story even more wild is there was four of us, and there was a couple that got split off. And when they were actually walking home, I mean, it's God's work, literally,
Right.
because there's so many paths that they could have taken. And the irony in the fact that they took the same exact path and found me of all people,
Wow.
the people that I actually like did the art walk with, that to me is still mind boggling. As a matter of fact, you shout out to my buddy Rick. It was actually his birthday yesterday, and
Wow.
he was the one. So I don't get to see him as much these days, but man, like the amount of gratitude you have for somebody, like he's the guy that'll get the love from me, and the support, anything he needs, anything he wants. Like I'm always going to come through.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you get found, and then now talk to me.
Yeah.
Now you have to go through rehabilitation. Thank God, surgery. Sounds like they had to be pretty aggressive and quick just to make sure you stayed alive. But then there were the ramifications of that. What was that like the next year or however long it was to actually rehabilitate?
Well, the year was hard, man. I talk about the story a lot in a lot of podcasts, and everybody talks about the shooting, but nobody talks about the rehabilitation. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you asking the question. And a lot of things people don't know is like when you're in rehabilitation, like you have a mindset challenge too.
right,
You start to question yourself so much, and if like life is ever going to be okay again, which is really hard. So I spiraled. I mean, the actual gunshot surgery and recovery process was probably, we'll call it 4 to 5 months. But what made it like a year is it just kept getting worse. Like the fact that I wasn't able to do all the things that I was doing before I got shot. I used to front man in a rock band, and like I couldn't sing, I couldn't tour, and that type of career, like you barely make ends meet. So
right.
financially, I was stressed. I had medical bills. So what happens? Like you start spiraling, man. I had bartended like in between the music touring, and like obviously you hang out in those crowds and those scenes, like like I was drinking more because I couldn't work out, I couldn't do anything. And when you start drinking you get in trouble, so I ended up breaking my foot like after drinking too much, on my birthday that year. So then you got that you got to deal with. I mean, long story short, I spiraled. That's really what I'm trying to say. But at the end of the day, like this company um, was the was the silver lining and all that. I mean, the fact that I needed to pay the bills. I had known Anna Yano. She was a friend of a friend. We connected on social media and stayed in touch after there was a group celebration one year. And she had seen a post where I needed to just get a job because I couldn't work for the
Right.
first 4 to 5 months. I couldn't bartend, I couldn't walk, I couldn't wait tables. So I would sit in my hospital bed listening to phone calls, just like my wife was doing when she started. And that was the beginning of this career, man. But like the thing about it is like when you take hardship and you go through recovery and you're going through a year of what is the hardest year of your life, you learn this art of gratitude. And I was able to tap into that gratitude and apply it, and change my approach and my mindset towards this company. There's such a level of appreciation that it's not hard to be passionate and go all in, and yeah, I think that there's a mixture of elements to that because Chris and Anna, like they are great people, and working closely with them throughout that period of time too had opened so many doors. So at this point, I mean, it was just the perfect recipe at the perfect time, and I think it really teed us up to do special things for the years to come.
It sounds like during that rehabilitation years, the down times, the challenges, the not knowing. I think what I I'm hearing you say is one of your biggest takeaways is just being grateful for things. Is that right? And was there something else that you would say really defined you? Because those are like defining moments when you have to battle through low points in your life, and very few people have gotten lower than you when you have to fight through two bullet wounds and surgery and rehabilitation. Like, what do you think defined you there? Is it the gratitude? Is there something else that you feel like when things get hard, do you have a different perspective now?
For sure, man. I mean, I think there's two things I'll say to that. Is one, to
Yeah.
answer the question, yes, like gratitude is a superpower. And I do think that the lowest of the low did give me that gift, you know. And I try to remain humble by it because I didn't choose it. Like I was gifted with it, right? You know, I think some people like how do you find that gift and learn that art naturally? So in some ways I empathize for a lot of people because they struggle to figure out how to find that superpower.
Yeah.
I do think that gratitude is essential. I mean, I have a hat that says gratitude. I wear it every single Sunday when I go to church. I'm very intentional about like my level of being grateful. And listen, like I'm far from perfect too. Like I have hard days. I mean, there'll be people that question that, and like I'm okay with that.
Right.
You but the second thing I'll say is there's an element of being genuine too. That appreciation and that gratitude creates this perspective. For me, every room I walk into, like I'm me, and take it or leave it. Like when you feel dated and you have a close call with death, that level of appreciation for life, I think, puts you in this position where you start to realize, hey, as I walk into these rooms, there are going to be people I rub the wrong way, and there are going to be people that I rub the right way. But when your days are limited, you worry less about the people you rub the wrong way. And it
Right.
gives you the ability to truly be comfortable in your own skin. Next thing you know, you're creating auras and positivity, and that attraction really helps you get with the right people that are healthy for you in your life, right? Because successful, healthy leaders they can spot, healthy, good character,
Yep.
and healthy, good character comes from hardship. Like if you do the right things throughout it.
Yeah. That's good. That's powerful. Hey, by the way, just on a side note, did they ever catch who shot you?
It did. He turned out to be a 13-year-old kid.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, gang affiliation. We caught him, but he did get away with it because I mean, it was my word against his. And at the end of the day, the prosecutor had asked me if I was 100% sure. And I minced words. I mean, I told him, listen, man, if you're asking me to tell you that I'm 100% sure and determine the fate of a 13-year-old child and his entire future, I'm going to actually tell you that I'm 98. How about that? Because I don't want that on my conscience.
Yeah.
And still to this day, like you have a lot of people that go, well, what if he went out and he hurt somebody else? And I'm like, but what if I was wrong and he has a chance, at life? Or what if he actually gets his life right because he saw what had happened with me and woke up and learned from it? Like I don't want to go about life looking at the downside and thinking about harm and worry. Like I'd rather think about the purpose and the opportunity that comes from the unfortunacy of something. So I still try to find the kid to his day. I won't put his name out there, but he's got two first names. So when I search for him, man, it's really hard, but like it's still kind of a life goal someday to just sit down and have dinner with this kid. I
Really?
would love to just like, and the thing is he was forgiven, the week it happened. Like, I would just love to sit across the table and have a conversation with him and ask, man, like I'd be curious if he turned his life around or just see what it was like to be him. We could talk about me, but I just want to know what's going through his head and what made him tick and like why he felt the need to do that. Because I sympathize for people that do things that are misguided. Because I truly believe at the core of every single person there is a good human being, and there's this false perception that they think they're doing good or doing right, and that they have to do certain things that are so harmful to the world, when in fact they really don't. They just need people to support them and open up their eyes to see that there are different things out there.
Hmm. There's, man, so many things going through my head on that. I mean, it's such a personal decision in
Mhm.
how you framed you framed your discussion of whether you were 100% sure or not on whether he shot you. That's so personal. I mean, wouldn't even know where to begin because I can empathize with you to a large degree. Like, last thing you want is a 13-year-old kid sitting in jail that didn't do it. And I always, that 100% always throws me off because how can you ever be, especially at night, like, how can you ever be like 100% sure? Like, I'm highly confident, but 100% sure means like there is just literally zero. I mean, how many times have we seen on TV where people say they're 100% sure, and then 2 years later we find out like it's totally a different person?
Yeah, you're not 100% sure. You're just confident. Sometimes
Yeah,
we just choose the wrong words, but our intent is still there.
yeah, that's interesting. And then as far as meeting them, gosh, I try to put myself as much as I can in your shoes. I it would feel so. I mean, that would be cool, obviously, if he's turned his life around and he's really a productive member of community. But there's a part of me like, you know, what if he's a gangbanger and you were just, one mark on his face of many or something,
Yeah.
that could be very, I guess, demotivating too, and if finding that out.
But that's the beauty of life, right? Is you got options. And I just would rather live a life with an option that feels better
Yeah.
than one that feels worse.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. It's interesting. It's interesting discussion. Definitely
Totally.
a fun one to talk about. I want to shift gears. First, thank you for sharing that story because I think it's definitely defined probably to some degree how you are as a person, and it's cool you talking about gratitude. I think we kind of gloss over how many wonderful things, especially in America, that we have that we don't always take time to be grateful for what we
Totally.
have. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey, so I wanted to talk about just switching gears into kind of marketing because you just have so much expertise. Um, let's say we got a company that's, somewhere in that $1 to $10 million range.
Mhm.
What would you say are the common, and specifically I'm talking about home service companies, HVAC, plumbing, whatever. What do you think are the most common mistakes you're seeing when they come to you or come to your organization? Was there a common type of mistakes that you see?
I mean, I feel like there's a lot. 1 to 10 is a pretty big range. I mean, when you're
Yeah,
looking at these smaller companies, I think the first thing, right, is this fear of just not knowing what you don't know. Like, I think the
yeah.
quicker you can be comfortable with just not having the answers and openly asking for help or
Oh, hey, you just froze. Mike, you still there? I lost you. Michael, I think you're gone. I don't know if it's me or it's you. Mine seems to be saying I have a strong signal, but who knows?
because the
Hey,
how,
Mike, you there? I
yep.
lost you for about 20 seconds.
Okay. I saw you frozen, but I didn't know if I was still recording on the podcast, so I kept going. That way
Okay,
it didn't throw it off.
hold on 1 second in case it's on my end. I actually have two. I just got to remember how to do it. I actually
Yep.
have two internet connections. One, I'm going to switch this just to be safe. Okay, I'm switched over to the other one.
You could just
So
edit it. You want to just re-ask the question?
yeah, so we were talking. I'm going to just start from scratch. Um, so Mike, switching gears here. Let's talk about like a $1 to $10 million company, and I know that's pretty wide range. So to take that however you want in terms of breaking it up.
Yep.
What are the most common mistakes you see? Home service businesses, HVAC, plumbing, whatever. What do you think is the most common marketing mistake that you see them make?
I mean, I'll give you two. And I'll come from the 1 million perspective and the 10 million perspective.
Okay.
And even 10 is probably a lot. I mean, maybe we'll talk five too. I
Okay.
just think at different stages, like throughout the business, you have to be focused on different things. When I think about like a newer business with less employees, 1 million, like owners still heavily involved doing the work, one of the first things that comes to mind is like this concept, and it's a book that I always talk about on podcasts by Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan called Who Not How.
Yeah.
And I love this book because I think like where we commonly make mistakes is we feel this need that we need to figure everything out. We need to know everything. We need to learn everything. We need to do everything. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in the moment of just trying to start the business and keep the business going that we don't take the time to actually stop and do the work of setting ourselves up. And what I mean by that is a network. Like, have you joined all of these Facebook groups that are existing for home service companies? Have you checked out the BNI group? And that's probably just to get more experience from owning a business, right? And other areas of opportunity throughout the local area. But like, what is your circle like? Like, have you spent the time creating a network? Because if you focus on who and not how, sometimes you go faster and you solve things quicker because you have people to help you along the way.
Right.
Um, and then when I think about the guys like in the 3 to 5 range, like where they're just starting to get to a spot where, they're entering the marketing game, I think another thing that we often overlook, right, is like, don't be so quick to jump into paid advertising. Like do the work, build the system, and leverage organic too. I'm gonna give a plug to a gentleman here in Mesa, Arizona. His name's Jason Payne. And I've grown to like Jason a lot. Like he's got a $10 million roofing company here called State 48. And if you just go follow him on social, like he's got it figured out. The guy doesn't spend any on paid advertising, but he's also not afraid. He just constantly is like always wearing the brand. He's got the brand right. It's memorable. It's green. It stands out. You'll never see him without the hat, right? I do the same thing, like the iconic Rhino. Like that's my personal brand, right? Because it's a company that I helped build and run. And what you see is like he's just blasting reels everywhere. He just puts everything fearlessly across Facebook and he's just putting it all out there, right? Because if I'm like constantly getting in front of you, it's the rule of seven, right? Like my mind remembers and thinks of State 48 the minute I have a roofing problem because I'm always seeing Jason all the time. And he also gives the brand a personality because he's almost like kind of semi internet influencer. And that changes how people perceive your organization. So it's a long-winded example of really just trying to say, like, before you get into the marketing game, really truly understand how you can leverage the free elements of marketing before you go so quick to just throw all this money at it. Like we think rule of thumb is, oh, I'm making X amount. I can have a marketing budget of, 2%, 3% if you're just getting started, a lower, more conservative amount. And then we just think about how we're going to spend it, but we don't really think about there are free portions of marketing that are just essentially like Google SEO and Google Maps instead of Google PPC, just to elaborate on what I mean when I say it's free, right? Because you're still going to need to hire somebody to do the actual work.
Right.
The 10 million guys, I think for them on marketing, it's really just understanding how to pick the right partner, and like from the agency side digitally, I think we jump to digital marketing agencies. We don't vet them out fully. Like, what does your reporting look like? Because if that's what I'm going to see every month and that's how I'm going to hold you accountable, give me a tour of that before I commit to working with you. Like, explain to me, the actual components that are going to really truly vet out this partnership because performance is something that I expect, but like what truly makes you different from the others? Like at Rhino, we don't just do digital, we actually do CSR coaching too. Like we don't just give you a lead and say your lead is how many dollars. Like we actually have a team and a department that you can cross over and make sure that the leads are getting booked on top of getting a lead.
Which
That's
is huge, by the way.
different.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, I think that when you start to get bigger like that into the 10 million spot and you're playing the marketing game, you really should be making sure you've got partners that are really home services oriented because they understand tactical things. And I want to give free nuggets to your viewers, your listeners. An example of that, right, is like paid advertising. There's so many ways to strategically do paid advertising. Like have you built the campaigns in a way that you can have 3 different zones, right? Like it's seasonality and HVAC. So do you want to drive farther to do more jobs in slow seasons when you're really banking on memberships and there's not a ton of leads because the windows are open? Like, how far are you going out on your paid advertising? How far are you willing to drive to keep your techs and your comfort advisors busy because there's not as many leads there and you don't want to deal with a recruitment struggle? These are just examples of very custom things that you can do in paid advertising that you're not going to get with a very basic marketing agency that's doing everything, right? Agencies that got some dentists, they've got some lawyers, they've got like find an agency that truly understands you and your organization and your industry because paid advertising in a reactive buyer's market, the majority of home service style companies like plumbers and HVAC companies, their consumers are reactive due to emergencies.
Right.
So the one channel that you have in digital marketing to like fill a job board quickly and strategically is PPC, paid advertising on Google. And that's what makes it so expensive because people have figured it out
Sure.
and every company is relying upon it and it's driving the cost so high that it's becoming harder to be profitable using it.
Right. What you mentioned about reporting is kind of the differentiator. And this is interesting you bring this up because I have worked with a fair share of marketing agencies, and a lot of times they don't have reporting, or it's, a spreadsheet, or it's kind of ad hoc,
Yeah.
and it's usually not very intuitive or easy to read. What do you think sets apart? Like, talk to me about what is good reporting, and give us expectations. What should we be looking for, and what should we expect? And is that something we should ask for up front?
Totally.
Yeah. So take me through that.
Well, I mean, these days, we've been doing it so long that for me, it's more about like, what can I do with it?
Hmm.
I think for many years, there was this trend in the marketing agency that was kind of like, hey, not our baby, not our problem. And
Okay.
I'll elaborate, like we would get on these calls and go, hey, our job is to generate the lead and to
Right.
generate the lead at a reasonable cost. But then if they weren't booking them or selling them, we would just throw our hands up and go, yep, that's your problem. Like that's your ops. That's not us. Like we're doing our part. So you're getting your money's worth.
Right.
And I think like as COVID happened and cost went up and competition went up, like there's a lot more PE in the game. What I started to realize that was essential, right, is like you have to bridge that gap between the agency and the contractor. Like you can't do that anymore. So to answer the actual question, like I'm looking for more of reporting that helps me solve that. Like rather than just hold the agency accountable and tell me how many leads I got, like are you actually helping me spot problems in the organization? Are you helping me realize that I have a booking problem? If I'm having a booking problem, can you help me understand what it is? That type of thing. And we completely revamped our reporting system called Rhino Tracks 2.0 for that. Like we use this thing called call intelligence now. And what I love about it is like you can literally see the sentiment. Like you can look at, let's just say you get 100 calls a month. Like I'm able to get ratings and grades on like how did the caller feel? How did they perceive the service that was offered? How did they perceive the CSR? Did it book? Was this plumbing and HVAC, or was it one or the other? Did it cross sell? Did it upsell? And then to be able to filter and export all of that data so that you can hand operators information to try and assess and find pinpoints within the organization, that to me is a gold mine because now the agency is providing you with information that allows you to have action, do something, and create revenue from within. Because I think a lot of business owners they spend too much time chasing the money when they need to spend more time creating the money,
Yep.
right? Like how much time are you putting into your memberships? And what are your strategies to leverage those memberships? Because it's practically your email list, right? That's your at bats and that's really your pool. And you go, how do I create money out of this group? How do I create value for them? And I just don't really hear a lot of us talking about those things. Instead, it's easier to just call me and yell at me and say I need more leads, but not truly want to take the time to understand why that's not always as easy as you make it sound.
Right. Right. Um, in in that reporting, you kind of talked a little bit about um the grading the call in terms of getting to various sectors. Is that an AI agent doing that now in your software, or how's that getting that level of different grades and feedback on the call? How's that getting done?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. So what we actually did is, I mean, one of the benefits of being such a large provider is you get access to really talented developers. And the
Wow.
things that they build are honestly like almost unimaginable. So, I mean, it's one of my favorite things that we do. This call analysis AI is what we call it. But like what I think is so cool is because we've existed since 2008, what we were able to do is take the recordings and the performance data for the last 27 years and use it to train this AI. So it's not just like a typical Fathom or Otter recorder. It's an AI that understands the home services and is giving grades based upon what is traditionally expected in this type of environment versus just giving grades like that are generic. And that's what makes it like a true truly unique reporting experience compared to a lot of the other agencies that are out there.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, if it's taken historical data and it can kind of leverage against that,
Yeah.
it probably is. What's interesting is as time passes, it's able to even take the newer data and then raise the benchmarks or even get more like kind of dialed into what the data should be.
That's exactly what happened. I mean, it assesses job value on average
Wow.
too. Like you'll see a job come through and it goes, this is an estimate of X amount of dollars. And that's pretty powerful stuff, right? Because I like to understand like where your most expensive leads and opportunities are sitting at that we're missing.
Yeah. I want to talk about this three-part strategy: rank, engage, convert. I don't know if that's your methodology or that's Rhino. Could you kind of walk us through that, what it means?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just breaking down buyer psychology, right?
Okay.
Like rank is a concept that like what is being done so that you're actually an option to start, right? Like if I don't find you on the first page, really all everything you're doing is pointless. But it's very like always misunderstood, especially SEO. Like you get a lot of contractors who will do a search for themselves and they don't understand why they don't see themselves, yet they're 45 minutes away from their business. They don't understand location proximity and like a lot of the unique things that are technical. But convert right is like even if I made you show up at the top, like you still have to be, I'm sorry, engage is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Even if I get you to rank at the top, you have to be selected. Like there's still options on this page. You're one of 10. You're still not the choice. So what am I seeing, on Google? Just because you see me is one thing, but the next thing is what do I see? Like in paid advertising, a common problem that people use is like they dump this money into PPC and then they wonder why they don't get conversions. And it's because their specials or their coupons, their advertisements that they're running they're garbage or they don't have any at all, be in comparison to the competition. So, engage is a concept of how do I get you to choose me once I've narrowed down the process to 10 people on one page. And then at the end of the day, convert, right? Like if you click on me and you've selected me, now there's still this decision on if like we're a good fit. The way I teach that across the nation is reputation management, right? Like think about how you go and you look at reviews. Think in your mind, like how many people don't like it's such a subconscious thing that we don't realize
It's
it. But just
true.
the other day I posted some content trying to coach people about how your 1 stars could essentially be 6 stars if you were manage them the right way. Because anytime I buy something, I look at the 1 stars.
Right.
And most of the people I talk to tell me they do the same thing.
Right.
And I'm like, so why do you do that? And they go, well, because like if I'm going to do business with this person and something goes wrong, like this is like that last little thing I need to just feel good about my choice and like make the call and spend the money. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a conversion tactic. How are you handling those 1 stars? Because the entire world sees it. I get that a 1 star might not feel good for you as a business owner, but the entire world's watching you. So who are you going to be when you're having that spat in a public environment because it might cost you a sale tomorrow. And that's just one example of like there's so many things that really causes conversion to happen. So you really need to break down the buyer psychology into those 3 stages, right? Rank, engage, convert. And you really need to be thoughtful and tactical about each step in the buying cycle because that's how leads are generated.
Yeah. And I'll say on that convert side, one other thing that I see when new clients come to me often is sometimes our website sites are really bad. Like, nowadays the standard's so high. Like occasionally I'll just run a search on, let's say HVAC San Jose, where I live, and I'll look at like the top 10 local ads and then search results. And if it isn't like kick butt in terms of flow, look, feel, aesthetic, functionality, man, you're working against yourself.
Well, that's marketing, man. I mean, it's a feeling. I think that's also commonly overlooked. We're
Yeah.
so distracted by running the businesses and watching the health of the businesses that we sometimes forget to actually like go through your own business process. Like, have you ever actually treated yourself as a customer, secret shopped your CSRs, like went through the whole cycle? I mean, I spoke at an event in Chicago, a great, awesome company, TR Miller, my good friends, Brian, Jim Sloan. They asked me to come out. And when they were giving everybody the tour, the guy says, well, where do you guys want to start? I instantly jumped up and I said, take me through the process as if I'm a customer. Like I want to go through the flow so I can imagine what it's like to be in their shoes. Like if you did that for every single one of your employees, and you did it like from the lens of your own ownership, you'd be amazed how many ideas flourish from that. Because if you thought about your business as an experience and less about a transaction, you're going to start to see things like way differently.
Yeah.
You go talk to Andy Hobico, like he teaches sales, and you'll hear him say the same thing. I think what does he say? He usually says, "Stop selling, start helping." Like he's got like a tagline. He always
Yeah,
uses.
I think
I
that's his.
love.
Yeah. That guy's a character.
But when you talk to him, like this is what he tells you. Like he's like, "How am I creating a connection and a relationship, friendship? I
Yeah.
don't want you to feel like I'm selling you."
Yeah.
I
The
think he
one,
explains it well.
just to take that even one step further that Andy said, and he's going to come in a future episode of on Profit and Grit, but they actually, as like an added value, their technicians will be walking around, let's say a house, and they have something to do. And let's say, I think the example he used is a glass door, as a sliding glass door he's going through, it sticks or something. They'll literally take the time to fix that glass. Now, it's obviously not going to be some dramatic thing, but it's a little simple fix. It maybe needs a spot of oil, or they notice a bolt is tight. They will actually fix it. Nothing to do with the job they're doing, just as part of an added value and kind of help the client to trust and feel like they're taken care of.
Yeah, I mean they do a lot of things right over there.
Yeah.
They're not a client of ours, but I still hired them to change out my heat pump. Like it was a year or two ago, and what I love is they actually will come down with videos and pictures. Like so, the trust is never. You never have a problem with trust because he'll like sit next to you with the iPad and like show you and explain to you what is going on and how it works. And it's just hard not to move forward with somebody that is like you just trust them, man.
Yeah, that trust, yeah. And honestly, back to the website. That's what your first chance to be trusted is your website. And
Right.
if it sounds silly to be bringing it up, but if it's missing things or it looks funky or it's designed poorly, a client of mine hired an agency some time ago, and they suggested, they said, no, you don't need to rebuild your site. It looked horrible, by the way, their current site. And they said, I don't need to rebuild it. We can patch it and make it look better. And honestly, it looked worse than the original version.
I mean, that's another like easy low hanging fruit because I'm all about practical things. Like
Yeah,
whenever I do these podcasts, I try to think about like what's something
sure.
good that I can give, you know, because all that I want is for people to truly find value and feel like they're genuinely being helped, and then keep sharing that. Like put the
Yeah,
message out there and help somebody else, man. That's what fills my heart, you
yeah,
know.
yep,
Like this industry, it gave me life after that shooting.
yeah,
I want to give this industry life, you know?
yeah,
And I think that like what we have to do is, and here's the actual practical thing.
yeah,
Pull up the top 5 competitors, all of their websites,
yeah,
and just click through each of them side by side and listen to your thoughts. Like to your point, which one feels trustworthy? Which one feels like I'm connecting with it? And if you could just reflect, it's going to be a lot easier for you to think about your plan because the competition is all that matters. Reality is competition. Digital is a different type of competition. So just look at your top 5 competitors in the areas that you want to grow and pay attention to how their websites look, how the experience is, how easy is it to book? Do they have a scheduler? When you call the phone number, like go through the whole buying cycle with that company and compare yourselves to them so that you can create an easier, more friendly, and convenient experience in addition to a more welcoming website.
yeah.
And watch the game change. And these are things like you don't have to hire an agency, man. Like you would have somebody inside the building like take on this project and work with your developer, whoever made the site.
Yeah, that's good
Wins,
stuff.
keep
Hey, we're
wins.
we're coming up. I know we got about 5 more minutes. I want to be
Yes, sir.
respectful of your time. So there's two things I want to finish. One is I'd love to just ask you if someone's going to work with a marketing agency for the first time,
Yeah.
can you kind of give me a quick rundown of what they should be looking for, what they should be asking? I
Mhm.
know that's way longer than a real simple answer, but just some top things that come to mind.
Yeah, I mean the quickest things they'll tell you, right, is like understand what is committed. Look at the contractual obligations. The biggest issues you run into with agencies is they're juggling a lot of contractors. They mean well, but because you're juggling so many, sometimes they overlook things or they forget things or they're moving too fast and errors happen. So I think it's always good to look at your contracts and vet out like what's being promised. How many pages are you going to write for me a month? Like are there any guarantees? Like, do I own my website? That's a big one. Some people don't like when I break up with you and then all of a sudden the agency owns the website and like what the hell, that's my website. I mean, those are some of the quick things I would call out. Like you should own your assets. Make sure they're going to be yours in the beginning should something go wrong. Make sure that you have it in writing about what's being committed and make sure that you've got a report that you can understand, appreciate, and feel comfortable using.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Many years ago, I hired an agency, not in the home services space, different space. And I didn't realize, I didn't carefully read the contract. They not only own the website, but I had no access as an admin. I couldn't even put a plug in without having to pay a toll because they said they wanted to test it so it didn't damage the website. And it was like 1,000, I can't even remember, it was like $1,000 to get the plug in. And so it is a good point you want to read, especially nowadays with ChatGPT. Just drop it into
Yeah.
ChatGPT and say, "Hey, what should I look out for here?"
What do I
We
need
have
to be
we
careful
have
for?
no excuse now, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're not ever planning to lose you. So
Right,
they don't think like that. You
right,
you have to think a step ahead.
right. Yeah, good point. And then I'd love to wrap up with a marketing tip. Is there something that you could summarize for us that's an actionable tip that just comes to mind? It may be something you've already mentioned. I'd love to wrap up that way.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I'll give you two quick ones. If you are posting content, meaning videos, like don't sleep on YouTube Shorts. The reach goes farther. Like everybody thinks about TikTok, Facebook, Instagram Reels, and you should do all those things because they have the market share. But if you post a reel or a short or a video on social for free, YouTube is getting a lot more views right now than any other platform. So if you're skipping out on YouTube, like don't miss it. The digital game is about finding out what's hot at the right time so that it goes farther, faster. The second thing I'll tell you is if you have not gone all in every single nook and cranny and like fully mastered and gotten the value out of your Google business profile, that's a major miss. Like it's going to be a huge lead generator and it's only going to get bigger and better. And then the last thing I would give you is artificial intelligence is coming. Okay. Chat GPT is taking market share and it's growing by the day. Watch Thumbtack. Thumbtack has a partnership with OpenAI and Chat GPT is working on some very powerful things that might make Thumbtack way more essential down the road for the home services industry. And I think if you started building your reputation by generating reviews on it today, so that you have that many, in a year, you're going to have a leg up and be ahead of your competition and win the game. And Chat GPT suggestions.
Good feedback. Lay that groundwork for potentially something in the future. That's a good one. Okay, great. If people wanted to reach out to you, is there anywhere in particular you'd like them to go?
Everywhere, man. Like you just type Mike Venitas. I constantly put content all day, every day. Like I live my life on the record. I answer all my messages. Like I just I love what I do, man. Like I just want to help. I devoted my life to this industry. So just do a search for me. You can Google me. You can go to Facebook. I do a lot more of my active engagement on Facebook, but
Okay.
like my content and everything is going to be elsewhere. So you guys just like look me up, follow me, add me, shoot me a message. Let's share my stuff. Like I just want to get farther out there and help as many people as I can with all the time I've got left.
Dude, you're awesome. Thanks for sharing your story, being so open and just sharing that experience. Thanks for sharing all the tips. And most importantly, thanks for being here.
And thank you for giving me a platform to do it, my man. I appreciate your time, Tyler.
Thanks, man. We'll talk soon. Take
Yeah.
care.
Cheers.
Hey, Mike, you were awesome.
Thanks, brother.
I know
Jumping into
you
this
I know
meeting.
you got to run. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Yeah, you got my cell.
Okay, take care.